NASCAR fans, what just happened at Talladega Superspeedway has the entire garage in absolute chaos. Bubba Wallace was leading the Jack Link's 500, leading it when in a single second, everything fell apart. A push from Ross Chastain sent the number 23 sideways into the wall, and what followed was one of the most destructive big ones in Talladega history. 26 cars. 26. And now, Bubba Wallace is firing back at Chastain, and what he said on the radio in the heat of the moment is going viral across the entire NASCAR world. Stick with me, because the fallout from this wreck is far from over. Welcome back to the channel where we bring you every breaking story, every controversy, and every behind-the-scenes drama from the NASCAR Cup Series. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you do not want to miss what's coming next in this rivalry. Sunday afternoon, April 26th, 2026, Talladega Superspeedway, the Jack Link's 500. Bubba Wallace and the 23XI racing team had pulled off something brilliant. Late in Stage 1, the number 23 short-pitted, sacrificing stage points but coming out with 4 fresh tires and a fuel-only stop the next time around. That gamble paid off in spectacular fashion. Wallace passed 22 cars on pit road. 22. He restarted Stage 2 at the front of the field, and for a brief moment, it looked like Bubba Wallace was about to deliver a statement Talladega win. But what happened on lap 115 turned that dream into a nightmare, and the conversation in the garage afterward is what's really got NASCAR in panic mode right now. Down the backstretch, Wallace was running the middle lane, leading. Ross Chastain came up from the bottom, lined up directly behind him, and delivered what was supposed to be a routine bump draft. But this wasn't routine. The push caught the right rear of Wallace's Toyota and sent him sideways at nearly 200 miles per hour. The number 23 shot toward the outside safer barrier, and behind him, the entire pack stacked up with absolutely nowhere to go. The result? Carnage. 26 cars. Wallace took out included Kyle Larson, the defending champion Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, Cole Custer, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar, Connor Zeilish, Shane Van Gisbergen. The list goes on. One reporter on the broadcast called it a parking lot. Only 4 cars made it through cleanly. And here's where the story gets explosive. Because the moment Wallace's car came to rest, his radio lit up. And what Bubba Wallace told his team, those exact words, are now everywhere. He wrecked me. That's it. 3 words. He wrecked me. Referring directly to Ross Chastain. No hesitation, no diplomatic spin. Just raw, unfiltered frustration from a driver who had just watched his shot at a Talladega win evaporate into smoke and twisted sheet metal. But what Wallace said next, after he climbed out of the car and faced the cameras, is even more revealing. When Bubba Wallace was released from the infield care center, he spoke to Fox Sports, and his tone had shifted. Listen to this. He said, quote, "Got wrecked there, unfortunately." He continued, saying, quote, "Nothing to show for in the first stage. Just hate it for our team." And then came the most telling line of all. Wallace said, "We got to figure out how to be pushed better. So, I take responsibility on that. We'll have a debrief and figure out what we can do." Now, on the surface, that sounds measured, diplomatic. But you have to read between the lines here, because in the heat of the wreck, on the radio, Wallace said Chastain wrecked him. Then, in front of cameras, he pivoted to taking responsibility. That's not Bubba Wallace backing down. That's Bubba Wallace playing the long game. Because in NASCAR, especially at superspeedways, drivers remember, and Ross Chastain just landed at the top of Bubba Wallace's list. Now let's talk about what this means for both drivers, because the implications here are massive. Wallace and 23XI Racing had been building real momentum heading into Talladega. Tyler Reddick, his teammate, had just announced a contract extension that very same morning. The 23XI camp was riding high. And then, in a single corner, Ross Chastain undid all of it. For Chastain, this isn't his first controversial superspeedway moment. The Trackhouse racing driver has been at the center of multiple bump draft incidents over his career. And every time it happens, the same question comes up. Is this just superspeedway racing, or is Chastain pushing harder than he should? But here's what nobody is talking about. The real story isn't even the wreck itself. It's what Joey Logano said afterward, and his words may have just exposed a much bigger problem inside NASCAR. Joey Logano, three-time Cup Series champion, three-time Talladega winner, was also collected in the big one. And when Logano spoke to the media, he didn't hold back. He said, quote, "You have round bumpers and unstable cars and cars that you're able to pop the air bubble real easy and get to each other's bumper." He continued, "When you get two basketballs against each other, it's not going to push straight. It's frustrating." And then, Logano dropped the line that has the entire NASCAR community talking. That's a champion calling out NASCAR directly. Calling out the car design. Calling out the strategy mess that turned a points race into a demolition derby. And Logano is not a driver who speaks loosely. So what does this mean going forward? Three things. Number one, the Wallace-Chastain dynamic is now officially a storyline. Watch what happens the next time these two are nose to tail at Daytona or back at Talladega in the fall. Number two, the pressure on NASCAR to address the next-gen car's superspeedway behavior just hit a new level. And number three, 23XI Racing now has 2 DNFs on the year for the 23 car, and that's going to put real pressure on Wallace heading into the playoff hunt. And there's one more detail from the post-race radio that absolutely nobody is reporting. After the spotter asked Wallace how the car was, Bubba responded with 5 words that sent a chill through the 23XI garage. He said, quote, "I'll see you in Texas." That's it. That's the whole answer. No emotion, no frustration, just a flat statement that he was already thinking about the next race. And honestly, that might be the scariest thing about Bubba Wallace right now. Because a Bubba Wallace who's quiet, focused, and already moving on to the next track is a Bubba Wallace who's going to be very, very dangerous the next time he sees Ross Chastain on a restart. What do you think about this whole situation? Was it a racing incident? Was Chastain at fault? Or is this just Talladega being Talladega? Drop a comment below and let me know. Want a 10U created formation? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the video on screen right now, where we break down Carson Hocevar's first career Cup win, and trust me, that story has its own controversy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.